What if you could conquer death? For 2,000 years, one secret society promised its followers they could do exactly that. It was one of the most important spiritual movements in history, and if you told anyone its secrets, the penalty was death. Today, we're exploring the wildest secret cult in history and revealing what its members saw that changed their lives forever. Section 1. The Promise of Immortality. In a small town called Eleusis, there was a temple that held the secret to what happens after you die. For 2,000 years, this place was the center of a secret cult that promised to take away your fear of death. One famous playwright and initiate, Sophocles, wrote, "Thrice blessed are those mortals who, having seen these rites, depart for Hades. For them alone there is life, for others, all is misery." So what was the big secret? The truth is, we might never actually know, because the punishment for talking was death. This vow of silence was so strong that in 2,000 years, not a single complete, first-hand account of what happened inside was ever found. Even people who disliked the cult and wanted to expose it could only repeat rumors, because every initiate kept their promise. But we know it was a huge deal. The cult's tradition started around 1600 BC, and were only shut down for good in 392 AD by a Roman emperor. What made this cult so insane was that anyone could join, men, women, and even slaves, as long as they spoke Greek and hadn't killed anyone. Emperors like Hadrian and Marcus Aurelius joined alongside regular farmers, all looking for the same thing, a good afterlife. This made a rare place where thousands of people from all walks of life were suddenly equal, all bonded by this one insane secret. And it all started with a crazy story about a mom who went up against the gods to bring her daughter back from the dead. Section 2. The Stolen Daughter. The entire cult was based on one epic myth told in the Homeric hymn to Demeter. You have Demeter, the goddess of the harvest and fertility. Her entire world revolved around her daughter, Persephone. One day, while Persephone was picking flowers, the ground, bam, splits open. Hades, the king of the underworld, flies out on his chariot, grabs Persephone, and drags her down to his kingdom to be his queen. Demeter was devastated. She searched the world for 9 days straight, holding a torch and refusing to stop for anything. In her grief, she stopped doing her job as a goddess. The crops died, the fields became empty, and a massive famine began to threaten humanity. The entire cycle of life and death came to a halt. As people started to starve, the gods stopped receiving sacrifices and began to panic. Seeing that the world was about to collapse, Zeus, the king of the gods, finally stepped in and ordered Hades, "Let her go." Hades agreed, but with a trick. He offered Persephone a pomegranate, she ate a few seeds, and that simple move trapped her. Anyone who eats the food of the dead can never fully leave the underworld. So, they made a deal. For part of the year, Persephone would be the queen of the underworld with Hades. But for the rest of the year, she would return to the world above to be with her mom. This story became the explanation for the seasons. Persephone's descent was winter, and her return was the rebirth of spring. But for the initiates at Eleusis, it was way deeper. It was a promise that just like the earth is reborn every spring, the human soul could also get a new beginning and beat death. And it was this promise that sent them on a wild journey. Section 3. The Path to Enlightenment. To get initiated into the biggest secrets, you had to survive a 9-day challenge. It started in Athens, where the cult's sacred objects were paraded from Eleusis to a temple near the Acropolis, and the head priests announced the start of the ceremony. The next few days were all about purification. Initiates, called Mistai, would go to a river to get cleansed, and even sacrifice piglets to wash away their sins. Then, they fasted for days to honor Demeter, who refused to eat while searching for Persephone. Then came the main event, the grand procession. Thousands of initiates began the 14-mile walk from Athens to Eleusis on a road called the Sacred Way. But this wasn't a sad, quiet march. It was a huge celebration. People sang, danced, and even shouted ritual insults at each other for good luck. They were leaving their normal lives behind and moving towards something divine. Once they finally got to the sanctuary, their long fast was over. They would drink a special barley and water brew called the kykeon. The Homeric hymn to Demeter says they also added pennyroyal, which is a type of mint. But this was not just any drink. The kykeon was the key that would unlock the final, most secret part of the initiation. After drinking it, the initiates were led into a massive, column-filled hall called the telesterion, where no uninitiated person could ever go. The doors would be locked, and under the cover of darkness, the final secrets would be revealed. What they experienced inside would change them forever. Section 4. The Unspeakable Vision. So what actually happened inside that locked room? That is the ultimate Eleusinian secret. Because of their death oath, no initiate ever wrote it down. But from tiny clues, we can guess it was an insane, multi-sensory experience. The ritual had 3 parts: the things done, the things shown, and the things said. Inside the dark hall, it's believed the initiates first watched an epic reenactment of Demeter and Persephone's story. The priests likely used fire, shadows, and sound to show Demeter's desperate search, the darkness of the underworld, and the joy of their reunion. The philosopher Aristotle even wrote that the point wasn't to learn something, but to feel it, to experience the goddess's pain and then her ultimate happiness. Then, at the climax of the ceremony, the head priest would appear. Some stories say at this moment, after total silence, the priest would hold up a single harvested ear of grain. To them, that grain represented the entire cycle of life, death, and rebirth they had just witnessed. But many experts believe that even the most impressive ritual can't fully explain the life-changing impact the mysteries had for thousands of years. This brings us to the most surprising theory. The kykeon they drank wasn't just barley water, but a psychedelic drink. The idea is that the barley was infected with ergot, a fungus used to make the hallucinogen LSD. Given in a controlled ritual, this drink could have caused powerful visions, making initiates feel as if they were directly connecting with the divine. Recent archaeological discoveries of ergot in ancient containers support this theory. Whether it was a psychedelic trip or just incredible ritual theater, the result was the same. Initiates walked out of that hall 100% convinced they had seen the secrets of the afterlife. They had gone through darkness and were reborn into light. As the Roman statesman Cicero, who was an initiate, said, "The mysteries taught people not only how to live happily, but how to die with a better hope." Section 5. The end of a 2000-year-old secret. For almost 2,000 years, the Eleusinian Mysteries were a major force in the spiritual world. They gave thousands of people a personal, life-changing experience that ordinary religion could not. The last pagan Roman emperor, Julian, was even one of the final emperors to be initiated into the rites in the 4th century AD. But the world was changing. A new religion was taking over, one that also promised personal salvation and resurrection: Christianity. As Christianity got more powerful, the old pagan traditions were seen as a threat. Christian writers attacked the mysteries, calling them fake, but their attacks had no specific details, which just proves how well the secret was still being kept. The end came in 392 AD. The Christian Emperor Theodosius I issued an order banning all pagan worship, making the mysteries illegal. The sanctuaries were closed. Just a few years later, in 396 AD, invading Goths, led by Alaric, marched through Greece. Many of them were devout Christians, and when they reached Eleusis, they destroyed the ancient sanctuary, leaving it in ruins and scattering the last priests. After almost 2,000 years, the great secret of Eleusis was gone. But the legacy of Eleusis never truly died. The ideas of spiritual rebirth and the hunt for secret truths continued on in philosophy and other secret traditions. Today, the ruins of the Telesterion are still standing, a silent monument to the promise that once pulled people from all over the ancient world to its doors. The Eleusinian Mysteries are an incredible testament to our timeless need to find meaning in the face of death, to go into the darkness and come out with a better hope.